Whenever a new model of motorcycle hits the marketplace, a very predictable scenario always plays out. Now in this case I'm talking about the context of the modern classic motorcycles, but I suspect it's the same in all styles or genres of bikes. Custom parts manufacturers far and wide listen to complaints in various reviews and study the bikes for areas where they think they can enhance or improve the ownership experience. And it always plays out like this. Initially, there's absolutely nothing available. Then after 2 or 3 months, very small, low production, shall we say niche manufacturers start to peddle their custom parts. From the initial conception of that part in the manufacturer's mind to it reaching the marketplace is just a matter of weeks. Some of those parts are parts that were designed for other bikes and adapted to fit this particular model, but others tend to be very simple parts. Bits of aluminium sheet with holes drilled in it, strategically bent to perform a function. Cheap, low quality materials, no real design expertise gone into designing the part, and a low tech approach to manufacture. Actually is poorer than the part that it's replaced, but it's all that's available, so people snap them up. That manufacturer makes a killing and most people are reasonably happy. Then there's the other manufacturers, people like British Customs, Free Spirits and MOTONE Customs. I often talk about these companies being late to the game, but they're not really late to the game. Their main concerns are safety and aesthetics. They want to produce custom parts that not only perform a function, the look, feel and in actual fact are of far superior quality than that the manufacturer originally put on the bike. And to do that properly requires an enormous amount of time and money. In fact, let's put this into perspective. I would wager that more money is spent developing these parts than the manufacturer of those cheaper parts will ever make on those parts during their lifetime on sale. It's your classic tortoise and hare situation. The hare falls by the wayside and is forgotten. The tortoise, however, is the one that experiences the greatest long-term success and becomes a name that everyone knows and trusts. Just over a year ago, I published a video on the fitting of the MOTONE Customs up and over bar riser clamps. Now, the initial concept of these was as a universal part, designed to fit a variety of bikes. And although the Triumph Bonneville bobber initially experienced the highest sales any Triumph model had ever experienced in the company's entire history, it didn't last long. Triumph had employed the Spanish Inquisition to design the seating position. Sales ground to a halt, and new owners of these bikes were dumping them on the second-hand market, unable to endure the pain that these bikes caused. Now, it is just my opinion, but I believe that the up and over risers rescued the Triumph Bonneville bobber from oblivion. MOTONE's unique approach with these risers was not just to raise the bar by 1 inch, but also to bring it back towards the rider by 1 inch. Simply fitting risers does partially solve the problem of reach to the bars for certain riders, making the riding situation just a little bit more comfortable, but it doesn't solve it completely. It is just a compromise, because raising the bar by 1 inch doesn't make your arms 1 inch longer. MOTONE know this, and they decided that it had to be done properly, and this has arguably become the #1 custom bar riser for a wide range of modern classic bikes. In order to achieve this better than factory look, these risers are CNC machined from 6061 T-grade aluminium, an exotic material usually reserved for manufacturing aircraft, prized for its hardness and high tensile strength. It's the only material considered worthy by Audi for building the chassis of its high-performance luxury sedan, the A8. Not satisfied with just using the very best material possible, and in order to avoid that usual CNC machine blockiness, They then went on to craft these risers from solid billet using a 5-axis CNC machining process. Very complex and very expensive. Fastened together with the best quality stainless steel fasteners, this custom part is a work of art. Universal parts are usually at best a compromise. They may fit, but they don't always look good. And that's where MOTONE's expertise shines through with this, because I've not seen it fitted to a bike yet where it doesn't give the appearance that it was designed by the factory that built the bike. That's a really difficult thing to achieve. Oh, and I may have forgotten to mention, it also fits the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. In fact, it fits the Interceptor 650 so well, you could be forgiven for thinking that Siddhartha Lal himself designed it. And the icing on the cake is that it's far easier to fit to the Interceptor than it ever was to the bobber. I'll quickly take you through it. Now, first of all, the model fitted to the Triumph Bonneville variants is designed to fit the 1-inch bars of those bikes. The Interceptor, however, has the slightly smaller diameter bars of 22mm, so you will need the 22mm variant. I'll leave a link to it in the video description down below. And this 22mm variant is only available in the black anodized finish. Before you get started, during this installation, you're going to need to rest your handlebars on the tank. So I would recommend putting a good thick wad of towels or similar material over your tank to protect it from denting and scratches. Don't do that outside on a windy day like I did. To get started, you need to crack open the actual handlebar clamps. These are a 6mm Allen key. Don't loosen them off, just crack them open at this stage and break the seal. I did find mine to be pretty tight. When you've done that, take a 14mm ring spanner or a 14mm socket. Now the great thing here is that on the Bonneville bobber you had to remove the clocks, the headlamp and everything to get at this part of the bike. On the Interceptor it's easily accessible by just turning your handlebars to your left or your right. And carefully loosen off both securing bolts. Again, don't remove them at this stage, just loosen them off. Now you can go ahead and release the clamps that hold the handlebar in place. Then carefully remove it from the cradle and rest it gently on top of that padding that you've put on the tank. You can then go ahead and completely remove the securing bolts that hold the mount in place. Do that on both sides and you're halfway there, ready to fit your new up and overs. Now when I first discussed this with MOTONE, we did identify that there's a very slight possibility that the bolt that comes with the kit is fractionally too long and may bottom out. It's still not clear whether that will be the case at the moment, but to be on the safe side I would advise that you put a stainless steel M10 washer on the bolt before inserting it into the yoke of the bike. And I must stress, this is just a precaution. Slot your bolt through the bottom of the yoke so that it pokes out the top and then screw your mount onto it. Tighten it up, but don't tighten it up fully. You should be able to turn it slightly with a little bit of force. The reason for this is that it's very difficult to line these up perfectly by eye. So we're going to use the handlebar assembly and clamps to straighten these before tightening them fully. Repeat the same operation with your M10 washer on the other side, and then it's time to refit your bars. Now these bar clamps are a precision fit. They're designed to allow the serrations on the actual handlebars themselves to bite in to the clamps. So don't be alarmed if at first it appears they don't fit. They do fit. Put your bolts into your clamps and then tighten them down sequentially, ensuring that the gap between the clamps, top and bottom on both sides, is even. This is very important. If you tighten the bottom one up until it meets and then try tightening the top one, the chances are you're going to snap something. So keep an eye on the gaps on both sides and tighten them up carefully so that the gap between the two are the same. This will now have the effect of pulling the mount totally dead straight, and your handlebar clamps should be tightened up to 24 Newton meters. Don't worry if this is different from the Royal Enfield torque settings. These are an upgraded part and these are the correct torque settings for these parts. When you've tightened your handlebar clamps up, making sure of course that you've got your handlebars where you want them and that they are aligned properly, you can then torque your mounting bolts up underneath to 38 Newton meters, and that's a job well done. From start to finish, this only takes literally 20 minutes. It is a really quick and easy job compared to the bobber equivalent. Now, MOTONE put a lot of research into these up and overs, and they worked out that the tolerances that they give you are the maximum that can be obtained, taking into consideration the length of cables, etc., that manufacturers generally fit to the bikes. I experienced no problems whatsoever. The throttle cable and the front brake hose were approaching their limit, but they were perfectly safe. There were no problems. They weren't too tight. There was still a little bit of slack on them. If you find that any of the electrical cables do seem a little bit tight, there is some spare still in the headlamp bowl, and gently teasing an extra ½ inch or inch out of the headlamp bowl isn't a problem to get the slack you require. Turn the handlebars from lock to lock and just check and double check that everything is fine. I don't envisage that anyone is going to have any problems with this. Now, I personally didn't have any issues with the riding position on this bike in stock configuration, but I know from watching YouTube videos and from the other various social media outlets that some people do. Now, I have seen a few videos of some rather Heath Robinson affairs calling themselves risers. Personally, I think that's been really kind to them. They're just oversized spacers. To my eye, they look damned awful, and I don't see why you would want to spoil a beautiful looking bike like this by fitting something like that. Obviously, for some people, budget is an issue, and if that's the case, go ahead. But if you want the ultimate solution to your problem, something that is a genuine upgrade to this bike rather than just a compromise or stopgap, these up and over risers are the ones to go for. There's nothing else like them on the market. Now, as I said, I didn't have an issue with it as it was before, but I was pleasantly surprised after fitting these what a difference it makes. The riding position does feel substantially more relaxed, and it does definitely allow you to sit in a more upright position. The other bonus, something that I hadn't really considered, is that it really clears the handlebar assembly away from your clocks. Somehow the view of your clocks just seems better and less cluttered. The other bonus that I noticed is the operation of your ignition key, especially if you have even an average sized key fob on your key. I did occasionally find it a little bit awkward before because the key fob would snag on the handlebars. These risers have completely removed that issue. I think I'll be leaving them on. Once again, thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you have, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I will of course be back next week, so until then, ride safely and I'll see you soon.